Hi, welcome everyone. Another week has gone by, and Nintendo Switch emulation news keeps coming. Even though I already covered a lot in last week's video, if you want to check it out, the video's in the card to watch after this one. And this time a weird Ryujinx fork showed up, optimized for Nvidia GPUs, which implemented DLSS, even if experimentally, along with Nvidia's frame generator. Does it actually work the way it should? Some devs are also giving new life to Skyline, that Nintendo Switch emulator for Android that isn't based on Yuzu forks, and I tested it. Did the performance end up better than Yuzu's? NxEmu is already bringing a performance gain. In my tests, not every game got it, but in Super Mario Odyssey I got a 15.5% gain. Besides that, you can now load DLCs and updates. And for those of you who believe Yuzu is better than the forks that came after it, a dev took Yuzu and only updated its ability to run newer games. Does it actually beat Eden's performance? Let's go through all of that in today's video. But first, don't forget to hit like and help the channel reach 30,000 so we can do another QA video. If you want to buy original games while saving a lot, check out Instant Gaming, the digital store that sells games for various platforms, such as PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Get games of all genres with discounts of up to 95%. You'll also find a variety of gift cards and credits for other services. You can pay for your order through your credit card on a website with a 4.7 rating on Trustpilot. You're buying games directly from Instant Gaming, not from other retailers. If you encounter any issues, Instant Gaming offers 24/7 support. What are you waiting for to save? Links in the description. Starting off with that Ryujinx fork, the Beast Roofer Edition. Basically, it's supposed to be a version of Ryujinx capable of using filters like DLSS and frame generation. So, in theory, the 120 FPS people said they were getting playing Tears of the Kingdom at launch using Yuzu would be possible. But since I'm here to bring you the truth, unfortunately it didn't quite work out that way. I downloaded the latest version, set up a fresh install, and after several attempts I couldn't get any emulator to run with DLSS enabled. FSR works fine, but when you turn on DLSS, whether in delay, quality, or performance mode, the game just crashes when trying to start. I saw on Reddit that some people needed to put the game in full screen mode in the emulator settings, but even that didn't work for me. I wanted to run some tests with this emulator, but unfortunately nothing worked on my end. I'll keep trying with the next updates. And now some news for people with Mali GPUs. Dev Wildcard, known as Willy, has been improving a version of Skyline. For anyone who doesn't know, Skyline was the first Nintendo Switch emulator for Android, before Yuzu came out. Back then it already had a decent compatibility list, but still had a lot of visual issues. The old version of Skyline was also well known for making devices overheat until they shut down, and that happened to me several times. For those of you who've been waiting forever for Strato, this new fork might be the light at the end of the tunnel. I tested it on several games. Most of them had graphical issues or slowdown, as you'll see next, but at least on the heating side it was way better than what used to be Skyline's Achilles heel. Talking a bit about the games and performance, I used native resolution in handheld mode. The game that ran the easiest, even running on 2 layers of emulation, was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Even being an old game, it ran without any kind of issue. Pokémon Sword did run, but at 20 FPS in the DLC area, and during battles it stayed at a stable 30 FPS. Super Mario Odyssey, despite running at a good speed, has several serious visual issues that make any attempt at gameplay unfeasible. Super Mario Wonder is the same case as Super Mario Odyssey. The speed is actually good, but there are a lot of graphical issues that make gameplay unfeasible. Zelda Breath of the Wild, besides running at only 15 FPS, has several missing objects. Donkey Kong renders correctly, but the game runs at only 50% of full speed. Among the games that don't work, I can mention Bayonetta 3, which breaks after loading, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which has menu issues and breaks before the main menu, and Dragon Quest VII, which breaks before the game even starts. For anyone who wants to test the emulator, it'll be in the description, and it's also recommended to use the Mr. Purple EOL driver, which will also be down there. Let's wait for more improvements from the devs to run new tests, or wait for the Strato version, which is never going to exist. A dev also revived Yuzu, only implementing support for newer firmwares. I tested it, and unfortunately the result ended up a bit below what I'd already tested before. I've already reported this issue to the dev, not sure if he's going to fix it, and if there's any fix I'll test it again and bring it to you. Either way, I tested this project against Eden, and I'll show you the results now. I only tested 2 games, because I saw it wasn't worth testing more, given the performance issue I found. The first game tested was Super Mario Odyssey, and the result is basically double the performance for Eden compared to this Yuzu Revival. Obviously, it's not just about performance. Several new features were implemented. I've already talked about that, and if you want to see more, check out the video in the card. I thought I'd already done a definitive test of Eden against the latest Yuzu version, but I looked now and couldn't find it, so I still owe you guys that video. Within a month at most, I'll bring Yuzu's performance against Eden and other emulators, so we can see exactly what the gain is, and whether it's worth switching just based on performance. And testing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I saw there's something pretty wrong with this emulator. It couldn't even deliver the game's native 30 FPS. So for now, if you want to use this emulator, treat it as something experimental only. Like I said, I don't know if the dev is going to put in the effort to bring the same performance Yuzu had before it ended, but either way I'll let you know if there's any news. Talking a bit about Nextendo, which is basically a custom network, with a custom version of Ryujinx to play games online, I've been seeing a lot of people using it, mainly to play Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. But before you jump in, download the emulator, and start playing, I need to tell you a few things. Devs from other projects were checking out this service, and it looks like some vulnerabilities were found. First, the project's code was closed source up until now, and since it was ported from Ryujinx, it should legally be required to keep the code open. It looks like, at this point, that's already been fixed, and the code is already available. Now, another even bigger problem is data security. First thing, to unlock the Discord server, you're going to need to create a Nextendo account first. In other words, even if you just want to take a look or ask a question, you can only do that after exposing your data. It's possible the Nextendo account creation site grabs your email and password and runs a check, in case you've already used the same credentials on other services, and there's still a mandatory third step, linking your Nextendo account to your Discord account. Doesn't that seem like a lot just to access a service that lets you play online? To me, at least, it does. I'm not saying they're not secure, but if you really want to use this service, it's recommended to create an email and Discord account just for that, and not reuse passwords from anywhere else you've already used them. That's the recommendation on Nextendo. Lastly, NxEmu had an impressive performance gain, around 15.5%, tested by me myself. But before I get into that, don't forget to hit like to help this video reach more people who love emulators. And if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to keep up with the next updates. Talking quickly about the last 3 developer versions, VSync was fixed and no longer breaks games when enabled. You can now add content like DLCs and updates, though I still haven't tested whether these files also need to be decrypted or if you can use other formats, like the one used on Eden for example. And in the middle of all that, video settings weren't being saved, but that issue has already been fixed, and now they save normally. Talking a bit more about this performance gain, even though the result isn't visible in every game, some, like Super Mario Odyssey, had gains of 15.5% between one version and the other. So I recommend testing it on your favorite game, to see if there was any kind of gain. And after this gain, I think all that's missing is a slightly bigger compatibility list and mod support for this to maybe become people's favorite emulator. Everyone who's already tested it, even on modest hardware, has been giving it good reviews. To grab the developer versions of NxEmu, just go to the downloads page and scroll down a bit until you find the development versions. Before we wrap up, let's thank the members and supporters of this channel again, who give me even more motivation to keep researching and always bringing you the truth, no exaggeration. And if you also want to support, consider becoming a member or patron, to have your name immortalized too, alongside everyone who's already here. The link to everything mentioned is going to be available for free on our Patreon blog, so you don't need an account or have to pay any fee to find out where to get the content. And that was this week's video. Next week I'll bring you a bunch of news on RPCS3, Shad PS4, and several recomps. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.